Hey, welcome everyone. This is going to be a reiteration of like where Fibonacci came from and the ideas behind Fibonacci trading itself. The history I went over a little bit, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail with it here so that you can basically get a good understanding of what it is, and maybe this will help you basically really understand how waves unfold in the marketplace. And a unique thing about when you pick proper points, how they actually are significant for you to have a trading edge. Back in the 1930s, there was a man by the name of R. Elliott, and he basically came up with the idea of Elliott wave theory, or what became known as Elliott wave theory. And basically said that the marketplace evolves in waves. And Fibonacci sequence was riddled throughout that whole Elliott wave theory. Now, Elliott wave itself is nebulous at best. It's really hard to determine exactly where you are in the wave structure. Now, after the wave unfolds, or after the sequence unfolds, you could basically go back and pick points and say, oh, this was, wave 2, this was wave 3, here was the expansion phase, and here we are, the ABC correction. But as it's unfolding, it's almost impossible because there's no hard and fast rules to it. So what traders did was they took a shortcut. They used the idea of Fibonacci instead of the whole wave theory in order to find out where they were at the current time in the marketplace. But I want to introduce you to something that is something we developed back at CRT Bank, where we said, well, a thought experiment, like what exactly was Fibonacci saying? So we're saying, we had a mathematician that was part of our trading team, and he basically said, well, if we throw a line in space, like if I take a line and I say, okay, I don't know any of this that's happening, okay? I don't know this at all yet, okay? And I could have erased it and played it forward, but I just, I'm not interested in trying to basically wow you. I'm interested in trying to show you some principles that you could apply, and maybe this will help you learn this concept a little bit better. He would say, if we throw a line in space, like if I take this low and I connect to this high, none of this has happened yet. Okay, none of it has happened. If I do that and I want to develop like what he would call vectors, all right, what I would do is I would take the high that I have, that I found at 106,228, which is right up there, 106,228. And I take 106,228 and I multiply by 0.382. I'm going to get 4057. Okay, so that's obviously, it's not 40 big figures, so it's 40 points. So if I take 106.22 and I take 40 points out of it, I'm coming up with 105.82. So I could throw a line in space across a horizontal line right here. Okay, 105.83 is close enough. And I go back to my origin point and I take another line and I intersect that line right there. I'm getting now a vector thrown into space. So before this marketplace comes down, it's basically saying there should be support right here. Now that's the 0.382 off of just the original line right here. Maybe I should change this to make it a different color so we could see. That's the original line, okay, from a low origin connecting to a top, and it continues out, okay? Now, if I take the 106.22, multiply by 0.618, I'm going to get 65.64. So that's 65 pips. So 106.22 in, 0.65 out. That's going to be 105.57 which is this line, a horizontal line that I drew right there. So I'm going to take my origin, and I'm going to intersect that line and throw it out into space. So this is really what Fibonacci's doing. It's basically what Fibonacci theory is that if we have a line, markets are going to move correspondingly 0.382, 0.618, 0.382, 0.618, then 100, then 100%, then 1.382, 1.618, 2.2, 2.236, etc. But this is all that the measurement is. So, but what we're doing here also is we're creating like vectors that go out. Now, there was a trade system that we came up with, which was called Boca de Lupo, which means in the mouth of the wolf. So here was the wolf. The mouth of the wolf was here. From this to the 100%. Now, maybe I'll actually introduce you to that trading system in this course, because I could apply it to Fibonacci, and I'm looking for unique trading systems for Fibonacci, for the Fibonacci course. So I think I will. I think I will put in Boca de Lupo. It was one that we used for a while, and it fell to the wayside when we developed a little bit more refined techniques, but it's still a good trading system. But anyway, so let's continue on with this. So if I'm at 106.22, 100% is actually 106 points, right? So 106.22 in, 106.10622 out, okay, is going to be 105.15. I come up with 105.15. So I drew that horizontal there. I came down from this origin. I intersected that there. So before any of this actually happened, all right, I have almost what you can consider like a fib fan or a GAN fan, but it would be more of a fib fan because it fib fan. Yes, it would be more of a Fibonacci fan than it would be a GAN fan, but it's one that I'm calculating myself. Now, here's the interesting part of it. I'm just going to leave these levels here, okay? I'm going to move the market. Well, actually, the market is right here, but as you notice, it actually held up quite well going into the future based off of an origin point here. So if you have any questions about it, I don't know if I made it quite clear. So let me go over with what I just told you and what I'm saying here. Now, we could also do it from a downward movement where you could do it the same exact way. You could also do it from this line here. So if I was to take this origin of what actually the origin is here, marketplace is moving up. I'm looking for support. Okay, you would do it the opposite way. If you would go down with a line, and that's what I'm going to ask you to do for homework. Go with a downward line from a high point to a low point, and try to figure out what I'm saying here, and try to do it. But here's your low. I picked this point right here because let's just pretend that the marketplace that's where it was in the marketplace. So from that point, all I'm doing is I'm taking a line and going to that top, throwing it out into space, and then multiplying by 0.382, realizing that it can't be 40 big figures, so it's 40 pips, coming down, placing a horizontal line 40 pips lower, and then another horizontal line at the 618 retracement, which was 155.57 or so, and then 100% down at 105.16. And I'm just intersecting the lines, creating vectors, and look at what happens in between these points. Now, of course, obviously, if we're using the Fibonacci technique that you're going to learn, when you're at this point here, you can go to last time it traded higher. What's the lowest point in between? It's this one, and then run fib levels off of that. But I'm giving you this so that you can basically get a better understanding of what Fibonacci is doing. It's basically just taking a line in space, and then going, you could actually even say standard deviations away from it, but not quite a standard deviation, right? So it's less than standard deviations. All of my other trading techniques are based off of standard deviations in a market, and Fibonacci comes into play with those. But I'll leave you with that. You tell me. So your homework will be, go from any high point you want. Say a market makes this, it had made this high, and right now it's trading at this low. So draw your line and try to figure out where the vectors would be from that point in space. So I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.